Alright, welcome back to FTLG. We are back with DylanJayFox again, who will be speedrunning Spyro, the trilogy, Year of the Dragon, any percent. If you want to spin the category, let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, so, any percent, it's the fastest way you can beat the game, basically. That's the intended route, of course. Actually through the game, sort of. But we, of course, as speedrunners, do make some pretty interesting clips and skips here and there to spice it up and make it pretty fun. I am ready to go whenever you are.
Alright, you want me to count you down?
Yeah, that works.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Thank you so much. So, with Spyro Reignited Trilogy, obviously yesterday I was playing the original first and second game. This time I'm playing the third game in the trilogy. This time, of course, in Reignited. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, why Reignited? Why not just play the original third game? So, me personally, this is story time with DylanJayFox. When I first got into speedrunning, my very first speedrun was Reignited Spyro 2 any percent. However, I very quickly fell in love with Spyro 3 any percent. That's a very bad start. If you're wondering what just happened, I skipped the last cutscene too fast, and it broke and made it so you couldn't see anything on the screen. Hello? Oh god. Can I get a restart on the timer?
Yeah.
I had a... Let me... Yeah,
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm good to go. My bad.
Alright, you want me to count you down?
Yep.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Okay, so to explain sort of what happened there, basically, when you're skipping these original cutscenes, at the beginning of the game in Spyro 3, if you skip the last one too fast, it can kind of black out your screen. Usually if you exit game and re-enter, it'll kind of fix it. But for whatever reason, it just didn't fix that time, so we have to just reset the file. That is why we just did that. So, yeah, no, basically, I got into speedrunning off the back of Reignited Trilogy. Also, when you do that glitch, it gives you like this weird kind of sepia filter. As you'll see when I re-enter this homeworld here, that I will no longer have it. So here what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of precise-ish wall glides. Hop up onto this invisible bit of texturing on top of the Sheila cage. And then we're going to hop right over here to Amy the Egg, which is the second egg you get in the run. And then hop into Sunny Villa. From here, our lighting will kind of recorrect itself back to how it's normally supposed to look. And you'll see Sunrise Spring how it's really meant to look here in a moment as well. So, through Spyro Reignited Trilogy, a lot of what our tech consists of is a mechanic called wall gliding, which is something featured somewhat in the original games, but kind of in different ways. Having played every game in both the original and Reignited trilogies, I would say that wall gliding in this game feels like both a mixture of wall gliding in the original games as well as kind of sproutering, because you have to focus very heavily on the angle you're tuned at, and you have to be a lot harsher with wall glides than if you were to play Spyro 1, for example. To really get and maintain height off of wall glides. So, really, our main intention with this game, as far as it goes with getting through the levels, is we really need to focus on getting as many eggs as possible, as fast as possible. And the magic number is 100. 100 is what is the requirement to open the final Sorcerer's Door and engage the final boss. So, as I go through each level here, we're just going to be grabbing eggs as fast as possible. My personal route is curated both to what I like in the route, as well as some kind of easier things to do. This is another little skip. The reason why we hover there instead of just walking up the stairs is because there's a Bianca cutscene there. It loses quite a bit of time if you get caught in it. However, if you're able to wall glide up there, you're able to skip it, which is really, really nice. Moving to Cloud Spires, this is one of my personal favorite levels in the early game of the run because it features a nice little set of tricks and a two-part with this wall glide. And then a follow-up here off the Whirlwind where we're going to turn left, get another wall glide here off of this, and hover our way up here. Now, I will be the first person to tell you, I'm kind of shocked I got that first try considering the amount of practice I've been putting in recently. It has been a ton. I've been mainly focusing on the other games I ran yesterday, as those are a little bit weaker for me. But I'm very happy that that went off without a hitch. Another very notable thing to mention about the Reignited Trilogy, which you're going to see me kind of utilize a bit here and there, is that this game bases itself off of a loadless timer. So whenever you're loading into a level, you are considered in a load, right? And there are certain flags that the game registers that you are in a loading zone that we use to track the timing. This allows us to kind of utilize the guidebook a bit more than what the original trilogy would, as well as the fact that our menus are significantly faster in this game comparatively to Spyro's 2 and 3. So we can pretty actively guidebook 2 levels, which, again, you're going to see a bit more of here in a moment. So here, I'm just going to charge through. Another thing that you're seeing me do kind of along the way is pick up gems. Kind of sparingly, they're the ones kind of in the way mostly, which is really nice about this route. You can kind of just stumble into gems and get the correct gem counts you need. You do need to be a little bit proactive with your gem count itself, but as long as you kind of keep an eye on where you're at and know where you're supposed to be, it's not really too hard to stay on the right gem routing for this particular route. Alright, so here we're going to pick up our 11th egg from Hunter, and right here we're going to go behind him and pick up 15 gems. Those are just 15 pretty solid gems. You don't necessarily need to get those, but I like to get them. Especially if you're a little bit faster with the movement there. You can actually get at least 10 of them before Hunter even talks to you, which can make that a bit nicer. Alright, so Molten Crater is one of our kind of two-parter levels. So, right now what you're going to see me do is you're going to see me kind of run through and grab like 2 eggs. You're going to see me get one up here ahead of us, and then one at the end of the level. But later on in the run, specifically and crucially at the end of the run, we're going to come back to get another.
You sure?
Okay, I haven't done that in a minute. I was debating if I wanted to try to get the fodder there, and I think I kind of forced myself into getting the fodder. Okay. Yeah, very sloppy movement right now, but not too big. Nothing too crazy going on yet. Alright. And with the loadless timing, I will keep you guys kind of roughly informed as to where I'm at perspective to my averages. As far as my PB goes, it's around a 46. Loadlessly. However, my averages are around a 50 because there is a pretty big trick that comes up a bit later in the run. Sorry about that, hiccups. Which can lose you about 2 minutes if you do miss it. However, I did practice it a good little bit before the marathon, so I'm feeling pretty hype on it. I'm feeling I can definitely hit it for you. But we'll get to that later. For now, we're going to focus on kind of maintaining the basis of what Spyro's movement is here. Which, as I said before, gliding is probably the most important mechanic in this game in terms of moving to places faster, wall gliding, as well as doing something here which we call a perfect hover. So this one's kind of the easiest example of it. You basically want to guide Spyro away enough that way he can hover off of a very short glide, which sometimes he can't, as you will see here and there as I go through and do things. Or if you've ever played Reignited, you probably experienced something similar. Also, what's up, Waffle? I saw you in chat. Just wanted to say hi, man. Alright, so another thing to mention, and I didn't even talk about, is I just did a sick little out of bounds, which allowed us to go to the side area early. This is the only currently known instance that we can do this in, but it does save us a pretty significant amount of time and allows us to route into those doors before we do Sheila, which is a really, really big swing in our favor. As well as this area is a pretty important one, I would say, overall. So the time that you spend in it, you get 2 eggs, and those 2 eggs are pretty good in terms of time. So they're just pretty valuable in the beginning. As well as in the sandcastle section here that I'm doing now, there's just a lot of good gems that you grab. That That glide is a lot harder than it looks, I promise. And now we're going to be heading over to what is kind of actually the first boss that we face in the run, Bluto, which is one of the optional eggs. It's one of the ones that is considered to be significantly less optimal than what we would ideally do, which is subs 2, which we will be doing subs 1 later on, so you'll get a taste of what subs 2 entail. I choose to do Bluto specifically because it allows me to reset to it earlier on, if I so choose, whereas subs 2 is significantly further on in the run, and honestly is a lot more punishing to deal with. Alright, this has been a very good Seashell Shore so far. I really can't complain about this. Another kind of crux of this run that I do want to bring up, that I will have to pay attention to, is on occasion, we can get what are called cutscene crashes, which funnily enough are a thing in the OG version of this game. The only difference really being is that they say on like the actual screen that the cutscene would load to. However, for us, it just means we can't skip them, which doesn't lose any time loadless, but it does lose time RTA. So I am going to have to play and kind of monitor that somewhat, and just pay as much attention to it as I can. If any of you folks were curious, that actually gold in my Seashell Shore. That was an incredibly good seashell. Again, for the route that I do. We love a gold. Appreciate you, Dynasty. Dynasty, I caught part of your knife run. I didn't quite get to catch the end. I was a little bit busy with some stuff I had going on. But I hope the whole of the run went well for you, homie. So here.
Yeah, the run went well. Sorry.
No, you're good. Didn't realize you were a call. My bad. It went well.
Yeah, technically was a world record, but invalid run. So.
What happened?
So if you reset in Village, the IGT rolls back, which invalidates the run, and I had to do that.
Well, you know, it just shows that you got what it takes to get that record, so, you know, even if it's not legal on this one, you can definitely beat it, so I'm sure. So, talking about the speedway here, this is the only speedway we do in Reignited, and the reason we do is partially because of the gems, and partly because this egg that's coming up here is relatively fast. As well as the fact that we don't have to worry about loads, which can be a bit of a determining factor with certain eggs. As there are certain eggs that you do have to kind of worry about how much time you're spending in perspective to loads, things like that. Okay. I had to clean that one up a little bit, but that wasn't bad. It was definitely not my absolute best work, but I can fully take that away. Alright. And here we're going to be using a guidebook to go to Cloud Spires, which you might be thinking to yourself, Dylan, we've already been there. Why are we going back? That's because if we exit the level here, it puts us right in front of where we would be going to head to Sheila. This saved quite a bit of time over just kind of running straight from Mushroom to Sheila. And as such, it's just a very optimal thing to do. Alright. Alright, so Sheila is one of our companion characters. One thing you might notice about this is, you know, we're playing a Spyro game. Why are we not playing as solely Spyro? Well, in Spyro 3, they kind of opted to allow for different character types to kind of, you know, bring out different avenues of gameplay. Specifically because Insomniac did feel somewhat limited when it came to Spyro being kind of a quadruped. So as such, they gave us different characters that could do different things, again, to explore different avenues for gameplay. And and as such, we get characters like Sheila scattered throughout, which 3 of which we will be playing in this run, the last of which we will fortunately be not, as that one is the worst one. It's Agent 9, if you haven't played the games. He's not exactly the most fun to control, be it Reignited or the original games. I will say, I think he controls a little bit better in this version. That's all of those. I'm gonna go over here and see if I can scoop up both. I did get both. Cool. Alright, so my gem count is actually pretty exceptional right now. Ideally, I want to be at least at 710 here. I think that's at 739, which is just a great gem total. Yep, 739. That is exactly where we want to be. And Sheila here is going to talk to us and take us straight over to the balloon. For some reason, Spyro's going to jet over to the right there for a second, because this game was very well made. And we're going to make our way to our second homeworld, which is Midday Gardens. Now, Midday Gardens, for a lot of reasons, is kind of the easiest homeworld. It's not exactly like super hard, but getting there can be a bit of a hard time. The reason I say that is because we have a boss called Buzz here, which, if you're not careful, can very easily kill your run in the early game, as it can be a little bit brutal when you get double and or triple hit here. However, I am that guy, and I'm not gonna. And if I do, then just cut the VOD. Quick, cut the VOD. But we're not gonna do that, right? We're just gonna charge him in the air here, get him out of bounds. The way I like to do it is I like to get nice up and close to him on like a slight angle like this, and then charge him as soon as he turns. Start getting him moving. During the second phase, he does get a ring of fire around him, which you want a damage abuse on for both his third and fourth hits. There I jumped off in case he turned direct at me. Alright. He's mostly dealt with. Gotta make sure he doesn't. Alright, cool. Occasionally, another thing he can do is he can get caught on Sheila. You really want to jump over the fire, and I'm saying away as you can kind of see, because his fire actually has a ghost hitbox that you can run into, and we obviously do not want to take that damage if we can help it. And on that hit, fight's over. Oh, thank God I didn't die to Buzz. I haven't died to Buzz in a while, but if there was ever a time, it would be during a marathon. And just like that, we're out of Sunrise and making some pretty solid pace into midday. I'm actually fairly happy with this early game. The time I'm shooting for you guys in terms of loadless is a 49, which is not an incredibly crazy good time, but it's solid. It's very solid, and it's what I was originally going for when I first started this category all the way back in 2020. Which at the time, the world record, for context, was a 50:35. But I always felt like a 49 was possible. And through several different reroutes and skips being found and different optimizations, that time became more and more possible until nowadays. The record is very far beyond it. It's around a 42 for context. I have a 46 myself. And I just couldn't be happier to see this game really reach the heights it has and be optimized in the way that it has. Alright, so here we're going to do a quick game continue. The reason we're doing this is because it puts us back at the beginning of the level. And you might be thinking, Dylan, why would you ever want to be back at the beginning of the level? Well, we have a specific reason we want to do this. We want to hop up here, and then do what's called a boosted momentum jump to hover up here, and then this puts us right where the level would normally end. This saves a good bit of time loadless, as well as it saves a good bit RTA. I'm not gonna lie, I'm killing it this run. I'm having a really solid run so far. I'm happy with this. What's up, Hunter? You can show me some tricks. So, you might be thinking to yourself, Dylan, there's no way that playing Tony Hawk and Spyro's fast. Well, there's a beautiful little thing here, right? So usually this egg here isn't really that fast. Honestly, it's one of the slower eggs that we get out of all of them. Specifically the one that we're on currently. However, after it, there's an egg that you can get super duper fast, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. And before that, we're doing some sick tricks with Spyro. Just hit a 900, now I'm just going to get 500 points off of this one. Oh, baby. Alright, so the way that we get this egg fast, which you can see is a 2-minute timer, where in that time we're supposed to beat Hunter, we just need to get to this many points and give up. And by giving up, Hunter registers that we beat him, and we get the egg. So you can realistically get what would normally be a 2-minute egg in about 10 seconds. It's a pretty wonderful little thing. And from here, we're going to make our way on over to Icy Peak. Turn the wrong way. Another quirky little thing about Reignited comparatively to OG is when you're exiting an egg, the camera gets a little bit messed up and your control over Spyro kind of gets a little bit compromised. You can kind of antidote it and quell it somewhat by like knowing how to approach each egg exit, but me personally, I tend to forget a lot of them as I'm going through. And as I said a little bit before, I haven't been exactly running this game super hard at the moment, in favor of making sure that my other marathon runs were a bit better, and unfortunately that didn't seem to pan out as well as I hoped, but nonetheless, this one so far is feeling pretty good. Alright, so you notice I broke that ice wall and then turned back around to face the cannon a certain way. That's because we're going to do another little jump here onto this bit of the cannon, wiggle Spyro around a little bit, and hop up to Maynard. Usually you would have to go through a whole like little section here to get to Maynard, but that allows us to skip over and get that egg super duper fast. Realistically, that trick saves probably about 30 seconds overall. And now here we're going to grab Chet, and Doug is going to tell us we can use the gondola, but we're not going to do that. We're going to hop on down to the second side area of the level, which the first one we don't do because it's not exactly a fast one. And in the side area, we're going to hit this thief first because they allow us to. And then the second one here, we're going to chase him down as well. Specifically, we're going to hit him from the front. And then we're going to guidebook back to midday. Now, I guidebooked back to midday twice, and in both times you kind of saw me jump out into the right both times. That's because it kind of hinges that you want to skip Bianca 3 times here. So here, our last skip, we have to get to the edge of that pool, and then get over here, and we have successfully skipped Bianca for this up. The only hub world that we can't skip Bianca during is technically the 3rd, at least as of yet. But that's also because I don't think there's going to be a way, considering we basically just land into her talk box. I missed the portal. I looked away to check chat. My bad. And now here, we bought our second companion, Sergeant Bird. We gained his freedom, as all the little critters in this game have basically been captured by the sorceress, who is the big bad of this game. And grab that 25 and the 5 gem. And basically, we want to free them. Ooh, I forgot what strat to do there for a second. That's fine. I'm gonna lose a bit of time here. I had a bit of a brain fart moment. One of the big disadvantages to running both this game and the original version of the game is simply just forgetting certain like little intricacies. So there's a certain strat you do in OG which I was like mentally ready to go for. That I just was not thinking about in terms of Reignited. That was a funny little moment. But no harm, no foul. Get it, foul, because it's a bird. It's Sergeant Bird. It's a penguin. A water. All right, I'll let it go. I'll let it go. Anyway, that was Sergeant Bird. He controls not really great in this game. He doesn't control great in the original either, in my opinion. But it's not bad. Gets us 2 eggs. And another reason that we did Sergeant Bird in particular is because you do technically have to do the end of level egg for each of the homeworlds. For each level in the homeworlds, rather. As a means to advance to the next one, as each of the kind of main people in those worlds give you access to whatever the vehicle is for the homeworld. For the first one, it was the hot air balloon, and for this one, it's the whirligig. And by using those, we can kind of advance to the next homeworld. Excuse me, hiccups. They are fighting today. Okay, Thelonious. White. I love Toasty Cat. And that's Spooky Swamp. Honestly, a nice quick level. I didn't explain quite everything there because there's a lot going on. But as you can kind of tell, a lot of this game is pretty repetitive in a lot of senses. We're just going as fast as we can to get the eggs. And that's really the crux of it. That's the core of it. And that's what we're hoping to do every single time. I didn't hit that one. So there are these 4 little vases you see in here that we want to break every single one of. However, with this last one, we want to aim, take a shot at it, free this egg, and then when we free that one, it gets us right up next to the Bamboo Terrace portal. Very, very nice. And Bamboo Terrace is probably my favorite level in the run, specifically because it features a strap I myself founded, which is this. Okay, beat that a little bit, but that wall glide, as well as the subsequent reroute it allows you to do, does save a pretty significant amount of time. So here we're going to talk to Sing Sing. They're going to activate the emergency bridge. We're going to skip the cutscene for it, get Tom, and then charge off here, where a thief would normally be ready to race us to our left. However, as we jump off, we catch him with a flame, and we secure Pee-wee. And then from here, it's just scooping up 2 more eggs. There is a slightly faster way to do the ordering of this that I'm going to be doing right now. That is through the usage of Amy Skip here. Not Amy. Is this Amy? I forget who this is. Madison Skip. I always forget the egg names. But we do not do it because, honestly, it's really not worth it for the potential time loss that you could get, in my opinion. And then from here, we're heading on to our second boss, more or less. We're going to scoop up these 10 gems. There's 40 there in terms of the gold gems, which is really, really solid. And we're going to head on to Spike's Arena. Alright, not bad. So here, what we're going to hope to do is A, have a good spike for one, and B, not get what's called Randy Rocked. And we're getting Randy Rocked. So, we call it Randy Rocked because we have there's a long-time runner back in the day who ran Spyro 3, and every time he would get to Spike, Spike would just run at whatever rock got thrown down and break it, exactly how he did at the very start. Those rocks are only available in the first 2 hits of the phase, and there was a clip of him at one point where Spike broke about, I think, 6 rocks. Which, for every single rock broken, it loses about, I'd say, close to 10 seconds. I've never properly timed it, but I would, if I were to guesstimate it, it's got to be at least in the range of 10 to 12. Alright. Second phase done. Now we get our third form of rock, which is just a goofy looking purple orb that just goes towards him. Nothing crazy. Simple. Nothing clean. And that's Spike. And now we're going to finish this off with a trick that I also founded called Early Whirly, whereby running that way, doing a head bash, it puts you in the prime position to get into this whirly gig as fast as possible, which does save a reasonable amount of time. Oh my god, it's Shemp. I love Shemp. Dude, I love Shemp so much. Oh my god. So far, this has been a good run. Loadlessly, I'm currently at a 23:27. I think my best pace is about a minute faster than this, but mind you, that includes like just like everything went beautifully. Which a lot of things went well there, but not what I would say as incredibly crazy well. And here we're gonna head on into Frozen Altars, which is one of those levels when you, if you ever start running this game, it might give you a little bit of trouble in the beginning. That comes down to a couple of small things that you have to do here, both in gem collection as well as in terms of movement. So there, as you can see, we get to freeze two guys, hop on top of them, skip that wall, which you would normally have to use one of these buildings to get rid of, because they have like a little flame power up on them, more or less. But because we are speedrunners, we can just hop on things and just kind of get through them super fast and not really worry all that much. Now, the thing that some people tend to struggle with is this wall glide, which you very easily can fail. Fortunately, I am very well practiced in it, and I haven't really missed it much, if at all, lately. But it is still something that is a chokeable point in the run, and missing it even once does lose a pretty significant amount of time, especially if you've already destroyed the big guy, which you would use to jump over the level, or jump over the wall, rather. Fortunately, I'm the GOAT. I'm very humble. Alright. Pick up Stooby. That wall is breakable if you didn't know. And we're going to make our way to Fireworks Factory, which for all intents and purposes is kind of the Spyro 3 level, I would say. Listen, if you want to make the estimate 120, I'm down. Hey, listen, I'll take it. Alright, so here, we're going to meet Greta up here. She's going to activate the cannon. Or she's going to jump over here, which will activate the cannon for us, and allow us to shoot over the next section of the level. I know, I'm just memeing. We're going to scoop up the rocket here. Reason why we do is just so we can blow up this one metal chest up ahead of us. There's about 26 gems in there, which are pretty good. Now here's the strat that if you've seen the OG Spyro 3 100 egg, you might recognize. That is identical in every single way to what we do in the original game to get this egg. Usually you would have to run through the entire minigame section there, but because we are able to damage boost off of it, we can get that egg really fast, which is awesome. And here we're going to guidebook back to Evening Lake, because it gets us that much closer to where we want to be. Specifically, we're going to take a little bit of a trip. A biblical one, even, some might say. As we're going to hop down here into the mouth of the whale. And we're going to pick up Jonah. Bible reference. Bible reference. Yeah. Anyway, That's it. We just quit game continue off of that. And then from here, we're going to head on into Charmed Ridge, which is it's probably the hardest level in Evening Lake, I would say, if you don't do subs 2. If you do subs 2, Lost Fleet might be harder, but at least as I currently do, this level can be a bit punishing, depending on what you mess up here. So first and foremost, ladders don't want to work in this game sometimes. We're going to charge up through this top section and down over this way. Scoop up as many gems as we can. We basically grabbed like 40 there. Juke this chest piece, because it does follow you. Wall glide up here, and run right on over to Mo. We love Mo. Here we're going to grab the fireball power up real quick, claim that, and then jump over to Benjamin, scoop up these 15 gems, which should have just dropped off of that. And then we're going to hit a... Ooh, I beefed it. Basically, what we wanted to do was we wanted to hit that first cat in the air, but I unfortunately beat the movement a little bit. I didn't get a jump off at the end, which is my bad. And then from here, we're going to do this Jack and the Beanstalk section, which normally would take a ton of time, right? It's not a very fast minigame. But fortunately, again, we are speedrunners, and we are able to kind of manipulate parts of it, working out better for us. Specifically, there's usually a buffer time when you go up on those mushrooms. But if you activate a charge as you kind of land, it allows you to sort of like get rid of that buffer, and allows you to open a glide significantly sooner, which otherwise you normally wouldn't be able to. So here we're going to bounce twice because we have to really line that one up and get over here to Jack. We can skip the cutscenes, but it doesn't do a whole lot because we still have to wait for him to come up. We're going to scoop up Chuck and get this head bash chest because it has around like 60, 70 gems. It's a wonderful little head bash chest that gets us a lot of those precious little gems that we want. And from here, we're basically at the end of the level. I missed the whirlwind. And overall, that was a pretty good Lost Fleet. If I didn't beef the little bit of movement, that would have more or less been a flawless one. But alas, not bad. Absolutely take that one. Alright. And we're going to head on into Lost Fleet, which is, depending on your interpretation, it could be the hardest level. Depending on what you do routing-wise. I personally think it's pretty hard, but I don't think it's the hardest. I still think that does go to Charmed Ridge for me. But once again, we're going to feature some cool wide glides and some really cool strats. Specifically, we want to shoot down this like little doorway that Ed would be waiting in front of, and we're going to hop on this scenery, and over here is this egg, which we would normally have to get the invulnerability power up to get to. More or less by being able to do things we probably shouldn't be able to do. And from here, we're going to do subs 1. I'm not going to do subs 2, as it's just not on my route, but just know it's hard. Subs 1's pretty hard, and you'll see me try to do this fast and probably beat it. I'm going to stay optimistic, though, and say I don't. I'm stuck. Okay, I have absolutely beefed it. Okay. Alright, I'm salvaging it somewhat. context, I'm already losing time. That was how bad that sub was, but it's fine. It's not too big of a deal. That is why I said it's either the hardest or the second hardest. I have been pretty consistent on subs 1 lately, but that was just an unfortunate one. I let it get away from me. And from there, I went from minus 23 with about like 10 or so to save my averages to plus 1.4. So that was, if you're wondering how bad that subs was. There was a bit of other beef, but I will blame that as the main culprit for it. Not huge though. We're gonna head on up over here and pick up the last couple of eggs available in the homeworld itself, which each homeworld does register as a level in this game, and usually, in all cases, except for Midnight Mountain technically, we'll have 5 eggs. So here we're gonna grab Ted. We're gonna hop up onto here, and you're gonna see me do a really cool glide. Pick up Hannah, and we're gonna head on over to get our last side character in Bentley. Alright. So, Bentley controls a lot more like just a big fella with a bat. And you're gonna see that as we go through. He's just a big burly dude, takes up like half the screen, and we just kinda gotta deal with that, right? He's probably the easiest of the side characters to control, but also simultaneously kind of the least fun, I would say. It's either him or Sheila, that's the easiest actually. So here we're going to do a little spin move, and we're going to talk to Bartholomew here, because he's going to let us move during this cutscene, which normally we couldn't. To grab this egg, it's Brian and or Brain. There are actually 2 Brian eggs in this game, which one you might remember the first one being Cloud's Fires. That one's YAN, this one's IAN. Why there are 2 Bryans and not a single Dylan egg, I have no idea, but we still get to move on. And then here, we're going to do another spin move at this gong. Also, one thing I didn't talk about there is that I didn't make a cycle that is pretty hard to make. It's just, I've gotten good at it, so it's like, it's not something I'm registering in my head as like something to talk about as much. But I would still say it's relatively challenging, especially if you're not very well versed in getting that early movement off of the cutscene that I mentioned before. And then here we have to press triangle to talk to Bartholomew. And we're going to head on over to Evening Lake. So, very early on in the run, I mentioned a trick that can either save or lose 2 minutes. That trick is right here and now, and it's called rocket storage. Now, this trick was discovered more or less by accident. It is kind of RNG dependent. It's a manipulable RNG element, where basically you're going to see me try to get 2 red rockets on the field, and then what we want to get, when we want Bentley to throw at the very end, is going to be a green rocket. However, I am likely going to shut up quite a bit here in a second when the fight really gets underway. Not because the fight is hard, but because I just want to beef it. I want to save the 2 minutes. I want to show you guys a sick trick. And if we don't hit it, there is a backup strat that I will be doing, but ideally I'm just going to get it. Okay, we got a green rocket to start off. That's not the best RNG. We want to start with a red just to begin with, just so we can shoot squirts as much as possible. Ooh, that's bad. That's fine. Kind of saved that. Alright, he shot a red. So we want to get 2 reds on the field. That's because Bentley has a pocket of 6 rockets that he can throw from 2 are red and then 4 are green. Because we want a green rocket, we basically have to time our last hit scorch when Bentley would throw a rocket as they keep that new rocket on the field as they instantly spawn after the fight. However, if they haven't landed yet, they haven't registered that they're there. This allows us to take the green rocket out of the board, which is a wonderful thing. However, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I hit it. That's wonderful. Okay. That's awesome. I'm really glad I hit that for you guys. That can be very tantalizing too, because you have to make sure you secure that rocket in that tight little window before the game takes control from you, which I have absolutely messed up in the past. So that is a load off my shoulders. I'm going to take this next section a little slow just to make sure I secure everything for us. But as it stands right now, this is a very, very respectable pace. This actually might be in my top 5 paces of all time, if it weren't for that subs. It might even be in my top 3 without that subs, but we're gonna let it go. Ooh, I bonked on the chest. Okay, that's not a big deal. We're just gonna talk to Bianca here. We get to see her new design. There we go. And then as you can see there, Spyro kind of gets that little reticle design, which allows him to basically shoot rockets now that we're out of the Scorch fight. So we are going to use this here in Crystal Islands. We're going to hop over here to the left initially, get around him, shoot that guy, and shoot a rocket at the thief up here. By doing this, it allows us to get to the flight power-up, which also simultaneously allows us to skip a 1,000 gem bridge, which it does take a lot to round an extra 1,000 gems in this category. Trust me, I tried. And from here, we basically get to just advance through Crystal Islands without any stress. Another wonderful thing that's happened in this run is we haven't got a single one of those cutscene crashes I mentioned before. So this very thankfully, I think, should be underestimated, unless my loads have gone significantly slower since I last beat, which I don't think they have. I don't know, maybe they have. Is that possible? Alright. Now we get to go over here to the same island where we were at before. This time we're going to grab the super flight power up to grab another egg. This time on top of, basically right in front of where the starting area is. And we're going to hover up here, get Maney, and exit the level. Yeah, it's actually really awesome that they kept cutscene crashes in it. I think that's really funny. I know, like, that's not what we want, like, as far as it goes with, like, being transparent on remakes and, like, being as one-to-one, but I think it's really funny. I think it's incredibly funny. Alright, so we're heading on into Haunted Tomb. This level can be a bit scary, especially if you're a newer runner. Because of this trick here. This is Torch Jump. It's a little bit precise, and I'm going to beef it a little bit here, but I should get it before long. Fortunately, it's very forgiving, and you can basically just keep retrying it. Okay. Alright, we're... Okay. Might open my glide too early. That should have worked. This one is, like, significantly more precise than other torch jumps in this game. Okay. Alright, man. Dude. update. It's not just... Okay. If I don't get in the next, like, second here, I need to run around. Because now I am losing, like, over a minute to this. Yeah, I need to run around. Oh my god. I actually don't have words for that. That's embarrassingly bad. Wow. I can't believe that that's how the run actually just got... No way, dude. Let me... Alright, this is... This is actually really embarrassing. This is, like, incredibly embarrassing. Like that's... I have a really... I have a really bad habit of being a bit of a spiral runner. And what I mean by that is when something goes wrong, it only goes worse. That is... Man, that is so dumb. That is unironically not a trick I have missed that badly in a run in over a year. That is crazy. So here we need to do tank soup first. The way I'm routing this is kind of out of order because I had to. Actually, like, this was unironically a very solid run before this level. I was even gonna talk about like all the clips with the riddles.
I see. I am a. Sorry. I see you. I am a.
Man, that is so brutal. Wow. I lost, if you're wondering for the precise number, I lost over 2 minutes there. I lost over 2 minutes and 20 seconds to my averages. Which, mind you, the tank section went actually pretty well. It was just really that torch jump I could not get. I don't know what was not computing there for me. That is so rough. Alright. So, focusing back up, we're heading into Dino Mines, which in a lot of ways is, in the original trilogy, kind of one of the harder levels, I would say. In the original version of the game, rather. Especially in a speedrunning sense, because you do need to do certain things in 100 eggs. Okay, that's fine. It's not a big deal. Alright, so that little glide, you can bonk on the corner, which is a bit of a hard part to it. But if we're able to get around it, it does save us a pretty significant amount of time. As opposed to running back around and kind of running through this whole other section. It's a pretty big time save for what you do. And even dying once there, I think you can die twice before it loses time. Which is pretty nice. Okay, jump over those sausage bullet things. here to this fella. He's gonna say, "Jumpin' Jehoshaphat," but we don't get to hear it. All right, into the home stretch now. We only have 3 splits left. We have Desert Ruins, Molten Crater 2, which I mentioned earlier in the run we would make a revisit to, and the Sorceress. Alright, pick up Heavy. And connect with that Thief. That Thief can be a little bit finicky. If you're a little bit too aggressive on the glide, he can move out of the way. But fortunately, I'm that guy, and we nail him like that. Alright, and Desert Ruins is one of those levels that we also are technically going to be revisiting, but you're going to kind of see why we revisit here in a second. So, we obviously are going to start off with this initial visit. We'll see us a damage abuse up here, a nice little almost perfect glide there, and head over to the Sheila's Alpha minigame, or the Sheila minigame here,
Hi, Spot.
where we're going to pick up a couple more eggs. So, I had this fun little party trick that I would do for y'all if I had face cam on right now. But back when I used to stream this game pretty religiously, I got really good at this minigame in terms of like knowing what to do, because it's more or less completely consistent the whole way through. So I used to do this completely blindfolded. By blindfolded, I mean I would really close my eyes. But there was a point where I did buy a blindfold strictly to do it with a blindfold, because I thought it would be funny. Because this minigame is relatively easy. You can take a damage here and there. That one wow, okay. I'm surprised my kick didn't land. That's weird. Please don't land. Please don't die now. After saying the game was easy. Thank you. It would genuinely be just my luck to beef it as hard as ever possible. Like right after saying it was easy. Alright, so here we're going to use the guidebook to head all the way back to Molten Crater at the start of the game. Literally the first, like, 6 minutes of the game we spent here. However, we're going to hop on up over here. And as of now, we have freed Sergeant Bird, meaning that this portal section area is open. As such, we are going to hop up over here and collect this egg. We're going to scoop that up and head straight left. And we do have a little bit of excess gemmage, as you can kind of tell. With them, we spend 300 and open up Thieves' Den. These 2 eggs are super, super fast, especially if you're solid at getting them, which I'm not too bad, I would say. And right there, we should be able to flame him. And then right here for the second one, we're going to talk to this fella. And we're going to hop on here. The supercharge is going to be active for this one. And we're going to chase down the red thief. I have no idea how I missed him. Ah, man. It's alright. As you can see, the second lap doesn't take too long. And then from here, we have just another basic perfect hover left in terms of tricks, and then our boss fight to go. So we're going to hop up here. Talk to Tara. Get Marty, and hop out. And you might be thinking to yourself, Dylan, didn't you say we needed 100 eggs for this? We only have 99. Well, there is one more egg I didn't get in Midnight Mountain yet. So, technically 2 eggs I didn't get in Midnight Mountain, but we're not going to talk about the second. That one just don't exist. It's fine. We're going to head on over here, break through this wall. I didn't know that was breakable. Smile. And get Billy. Hop into this whirlwind and make our way to the sorceress. I'm actually going to pick up a couple of fodder here. basically just to make sure I don't get locked in the fight by having to wait up a little bit longer on certain things. So, this is the final boss. So just be ready, Dynasty. I'm gonna be calling time here in the next couple of minutes. We're gonna have a nice little flying animation, just like in Spyro 1, to cap this one off. So the sorcerer's fight in this game is slightly easier. You do have to do technically less damage. In the original game there are 12 hits, in this one there are 10. However, you can't exactly do the same strategies. You can't manipulate the drop you get to get the tank power up for the final hits. That's bad. Shoot this one down, please. Alright. That wasn't bad. The cannon phase, I kind of got spooked off. I should have kept shooting. Taking the 1 damage because I could have afforded it, but got spooked. We deal with what we deal with. Can't go back on the decisions we make. So here we wait for a tank to fall. And we're gonna back away from her. Away from her. And that third hit's gonna take us right off of that. I also jumped at the same time, which gave me a weird, like, kind of forward momentum thing there. That was strange. I've never seen that. But we're gonna continue to kind of run around until Agent 9 drops us our final vehicle to take down the sorceress. This time being a flying saucer or UFO, which out of the 3 is probably the hardest to control, and also the hardest to deal faster hits with. And that's time. Not a bad run. I will say, and I will die on this, that was, for context, if I didn't beef Haunted Tomb, that was a 47. It was underestimate. Nice. Let's go. That would have been
GG's.
well underestimate without that. Thank you for the GGs. Appreciate you, Dynasty. Let me make sure you guys can hear this.
And restored freedom to the lost dragon world.
Yeah, that's Spyro 3, Reignited at 80%. It's an awesome run. I can't recommend Reignited highly enough. It's a lot easier to get into, if I'm honest, than the original trilogy. So if you guys have any interest in speedrunning Spyro, Reignited might be a good place to start. I am going to skip a couple of cutscenes here to ask my famous age-old question from every single time I play this game. So here we have a cutscene with Bianca and Hunter, and I have to ask a question. Me and who? Who is this? This is me and somebody. This is me and Shem. That's me and Shem, right there. Anyway, that's Spyro 380%. I've been DylanJayFox, and I'll see you next time.
It's a sad sight, Sparks. Another noble warrior falls victim to the plague of love. Just look away. Well, I guess we'll have to find the rest of the eggs by ourselves.
Alright, everybody, we will be back shortly with Recthesis for 2 runs back-to-back. And congratulations again, Dylan, for an amazing run. Still made an underestimate, so nobody loses any channel points, which is always lovely. But congrats on the great run, and we will be right back.
Be sure to follow us on our socials by doing !socials in chat.
This is the hour, the darkest place. Dante's Inferno, the devil's maze. It's a good world, good world gone bad. It's a good world. Good world gone bad.
Alright, hey everybody, quick little message for y'all. Some technical issues that we got going on, but we have the run going on, a little bit issues with the audio, so very sorry in advance, so just bear with us. I'm going to try to fix it, can't guarantee, but you will be able to hear everything, just half and half. So we have Reclesis, we have the run coming up in just a few moments, so stay tuned, and thank you so much.